Hello, magical souls. Hello, hello. Welcome to today's live stream, part 2 of 4 of special live streams I'm doing this week to celebrate my 2 years of being a channel on the 7th of the 7th. And it's going to end in a live channeling session this Friday, 6 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. EST. So hello, hello, and welcome to part 2. So yesterday I talked about, what did I talk about? I talked about the what, like kind of what some of these words mean that I kind of throw around fairly regularly on in my content on my page, and you may have heard other people talk about these things as well. So we covered what channeling is, and star seeds, and mission, and activations, and awakenings, and all this sort of terminology. So do go back and watch part 1 if you haven't tuned into that. So today is the how, and I wanted to just share a little bit of a story around how I became a channel, and also how it works, because there's a lot of maybe myths around channeling. So I wanted to just touch on what it is and what it isn't, and also with a view that a lot of you tuning in, you will be tuning in for a reason, and many more of you are actually capable and here to channel than you might realize. And I would not have said that maybe even I wouldn't have said that even a year ago. So a lot of things have changed for me in the last 2 years, but particularly in the last year, and again particularly even in the last 6 months. So it's like I'm on this journey of learning more and more and more about what it is to be a channel here in current times, in the way that I channel. And a lot of the observations I have through all the work that I do with others is just teaching me a lot. So there's a lot to tap into for the human, right, in this lifetime. So I'll just share, and I won't sort of spend too long sharing this, because there is a lot that went into this journey to become a channel. And I actually did write about my experience in my book. So I'll show it to you. It's my a book, Above and Beyond. I published this last year, so it'll be a year ago in August, where I published this. And this is Above and Beyond: A Human Journey of Courage, Resilience, Transformation, Magic, and Awakening. And there's a whole journey to get to what I'm going to talk about today. So if you are interested, you can check that out. It reads like a very fast-paced page turner, and it's pretty gripping. So you might enjoy reading that. So I'll just sort of do the very short version. And really what I want to share with you about this journey is that it was such a follow the breadcrumbs thing that led me to becoming a channel. Because sometimes, you can just see someone online and you go, oh, they're just doing this channeling thing, they must have always just done that. So for those of you who've only connected with me within the last 2 years, you would never have known me as not being the channel. But for those of you who've known me longer than that, you will have seen, right, that I didn't set out as a channel, and that for some people that was quite surprising. Suddenly I'm here channeling my divine team, like direct channeling. And I know it caused a lot of people, some people, to think I'd gone a bit doolally, some people just to turn away. They didn't like it, and at the same time it attracted in people who really were here for this, and for people who really resonated with the energies that I channel, the messages that I now share, and the way that I work, which is different to the way that I would have worked before. So really, I guess to start with, it was more like a follow the breadcrumbs journey. And so let's go back to kind of very briefly. I basically went through a massive transformation in my life back in 2000, and it started in 2010 really. And I got ill, and illness led me to completely change my entire life. And I went from being a child protection lawyer to releasing all of that, because I got seriously debilitatingly ill, and it stopped me. It took me out of the game for a few years. So I was housebound for a lot of that. I had ME, chronic fatigue, kind of fibromyalgia mixed in there as well. And it was severe. And so I was housebound, and everything outside I lost. But then that was the catalyst that got me into, okay, I have to heal. I have to go on a very deep journey. Otherwise, my life is just going to go down the toilet. I had to heal every level: mental, physical, spiritual, all of that, emotional, all of that stuff. And it was the very thing that, sort of pushed me onto that path of the inner growth. So I started to do that. I got results. I'm giving you the super quick version. I got results and I started, my energy, my health started to come back. And then that was the thing that led me to training in all the modalities that had helped me do that. Lots of healing modalities, therapeutic coaching, lots of deep trauma work, and all of these different ways. And so I trained in this. And so then I decided to do a complete shift in my life. And I went from wanting to, thrive as a lawyer, I let that all go. And of course, at that point, walking away from a career like that, a lot of people didn't understand that. It made no sense to a lot of family and people that knew me. But it was a very, very deep thing inside of me that I knew what it felt like to live that life where you were sort of boxing yourself in and not following your true soul. So I really walked that path, and it cost me, and it was a lesson that was fine, and I loved the work that I did initially, but it was because I was here to help people, but it wasn't the way I was really here to help people. So I know that being a lawyer for a few years there really served me, but it was time then, when my energy came back, to really step into, well, now I know what it feels like not to have energy and be housebound and trapped like in your body. I'm going to use my energy for what I really care about. And so I went on this journey of training, and I decided to just, without thinking, just take one step at a time. And I put myself online here. I didn't even like being online back then. I was like afraid of being visible. I was afraid of everything online. This was the scariest thing for me. And so over the years, I built up, my messaging and a sort of brand and a vibe and all these things. I released programs and I was doing all of this work, right? So I was really kind of doing it. And I thought that was it, right? That was my journey, that was my path. And I was here to help people with their inner world and healing and all of these things. And so I didn't really think more beyond that. I knew I was here to make an impact, but I wasn't, I was still sort of grappling with, what does that mean exactly? And how does that look? And it felt like there were some missing pieces. So I just kind of went through the motions for a few years, and I was, playing around and dabbling with all different ways of marketing and selling my offers and helping people and really trying everything. I kind of tried everything. And, I was enjoying it, parts of it, but there was something that still felt off. So fast forward to 2020 was when the world went crazy, that pandemic, all that kind of hit, and everyone went into confusion and fear and chaos. And it was at that point that I would describe it was like a second awakening. So the first awakening was like the whole transformation with my illness. The second like big awakening, it felt for me, it was like 2020, where, and I spoke about it a bit in yesterday's live stream, where I said that it felt like there was like a spontaneous thing. I woke up and sometimes I just knew things I didn't know yesterday. And I just started to connect into the world, into what was happening in a very different way. And so the first part of me sort of becoming this channel, I remember I was sitting down, probably like April or something, 2020, and I wanted to write a post, basically just to sort of, I was seeing people go into fear. I knew that there were other things going on. There was an agenda here. There was deception here. It wasn't what we were being told. And so I started to just write a very short piece in my phone where I was going to just post it. And then before I knew it, suddenly it sort of, all this information just gushed through. And I just started writing it out, and it was like flowing, and it was just all these things, and it was touching on all the deceptions and the manipulations, and it's not this, but it's really this. It's not this, but it's really this. Anyway, it flowed through me, and I was typing it all out. I was just following it, and I read it back, and I thought, holy crap, where did that come from? And as I read it, I could feel the truth of the words. I could feel that is wisdom, and that is real. I hadn't planned to go into that detail. I hadn't planned to talk about that. I think it was called a wake-up call, or time to wake up, or something. I'd put the title on there, and I was really afraid. I was like, I don't know if I should share this, because this is very putting myself out there in a way that I hadn't. So I'd been sharing messages throughout all these years I was online, but I'd been very playing it safe, and I'd been very watered down. And so I really, I thought, no, it needs to go out. So I put the post out. And that was the post for me that it surprised me, because it sort of had a massive traction, and it had I think it got shared 90 times, which for me on my little platform wasn't normal. I'd get maybe 7, 8 people liking my posts. I didn't have a big following or people tuning in particularly, maybe some, maybe more than I realized. But I didn't write posts that got shared 90 times, over 90 times. So suddenly there was this traction. I had friend requests coming out left, right, and center from other people around the world. It was some of you maybe tuning in. And suddenly I was connected to all these people around the world in different countries, different parts of the world. And we just became connected and friends because we were all seeing the truth of what was happening in the world. So that was the first experience I had of what I now know was real pure channeling. Things were coming through that it wasn't my conscious mind. It was coming through very deeply. So that was kind of scary, because again, I was that person that very much wanted to speak out, but I was, I always diluted myself, I think. And I was, my throat chakra was not open the way that it is now. Even my voice sounded different back then. I believe if I look at previous live streams, I will maybe there's a resonance that's different to me now, having opened and cleared that part of me. So that was the start of it. And then that year I started to just, like I said, follow the breadcrumbs. And what happened was this word starseed that I talked about yesterday, it started to just come into my awareness. So I would see a post mentioning a starseed. I would suddenly see a random video. All this synchronicity and all these messages would come around. And I watched a video, and it would lead me to something else. And there was a whole array of things. And again, it's in my book if you want to go into the whole journey of that, because there's a lot there. But it was reading a book led to me opening something inside of me that I didn't realize was there. It led me to going onto YouTube. And then I found one day, the real kind of pivotal moment was I found, I came across the word Arcturian, and it resonated. And then I found out I did some sort of chart thing that showed me my soul had origins from different star systems, and I was still kind of holding it all very loosely. But then there was something about the word Arcturian that stirred me. And so I remember then trying to I wanted information. I wanted to know more, because none of this made sense, but I had something deep inside of me that was calling. So I remember going onto YouTube, and I think I typed some search thing in. I don't know, randomly this woman popped up, and she was talking about this whole starseed thing again, and she was talking about Arcturians. And I thought, okay, let me hear what she has to say. I was hungry for knowledge and information. And as soon as I saw her, there was some soul recognition, and I just knew. I just recognized something in her. I loved her straight away. I was just I love this woman. Her name is Melissa Bates. She ended up being a mentor for me, and I've done a podcast on her podcast. I did a thing, I think, was it this year? Yeah, it's probably this year. So she was very, very instrumental. And I remember her talking about Arcturians and what it was to be a starseed, and it just activated something in me just hearing her talk, which is also why I like to talk about it, because I know that some of you are going to hear it, and it's going to activate some of you, even if you don't even realize, or just confirm to some of you that this is real. And she was talking about this book that you could get. It's called We the Arcturians. And as she was talking, I was ordering it on Amazon. I devoured that in 2 days. And then I went back to her YouTube, because I saved the video, and I felt it again. It was follow the breadcrumbs. Got this massive, deep guidance to say, what has she got? What is she offering? Has she got services? Am I supposed to connect with her? What is it? So I went onto her YouTube. There were links there. I went onto her website. She had a whole load of different things she was offering. And I saw a soul blueprint kind of reading. And immediately I just, you just recognize, I'm supposed to have that. I'm supposed to do that. even though I, at the time it was like, oh, I could do without maybe investing anything right now, but it was like, I need to do that. I just recognized it. So I booked it, and I had the session with her in March 2021. And that for me was like the activation I needed. She went through stuff about my mission, about me being the starseed that I am, about me being connected to the Arcturian energy and the angelic realm. She tapped into things that I deeply knew, I had a feeling about, but she brought it up really into the consciousness, and it was very activating. It was very eye-opening, and it literally changed my entire trajectory. She even talked about this book, and I showed you earlier my book I ended up writing. So it was like one thing led to another. And then after a few, I think it was March, April, May, yeah, about 4 or 5 months, in July, yeah, of course, that's what I'm talking about, July, right? Of course, 7th of the 7th, was when I had my session with her, because I stepped into her service then around activating myself as a channel. And then how that was that I had already, the funny thing about that was I had already been channeling without realizing. So, for example, when I look back at, when I get a memory pop up with a previous live stream from years ago, I can see that I'm channeling. And I often thought to myself back then, oh, I wonder what this thing is. Sometimes just things come out and I hadn't planned to say them. I just end up talking about topics I never had planned. And I work better when I don't plan what I say, and just random things come out, and then I kind of go around and then come back to the message. And there was something that was happening that was beyond me. So when I looked back, I could see that I had already been channeling, only I was doing it very unconsciously. I didn't know, I wasn't aware of what or who I was channeling, but I was definitely a channel. And this is what I find with all the people that end up working with me and we go into this area, they've also been always a channel, but the difference is activating it into the consciousness, which is a whole different level. So I had this, I stepped into this service with her where she was going to help me open my channel, because I really wanted to do it. I wanted to consciously do it. I was ready. I felt so guided. And so we had this session. And the weird thing about that was, when we had this session, for me, it was quite instantaneous. It was like, oh, okay, I can get it. I can channel. And of course, the whole journey around that was really trusting that what was coming in was real. I wasn't making it up. I wasn't imagining it. Also, it's what I do with people now to help them through that, because there's so much of that doubt that comes in. Like, am I really, for about a year, I was still going, am I really making this up? Even though I'd done loads of sessions with people and they'd given me feedback and they were telling me it was resonant, and I knew that it was. But it was such a journey, right? So to kind of step into being a channel, it was such a journey, and such a, like, almost like a natural part of course I was going to do that. Of course I was going to walk that path, and everything about my life had put me on this path, and I couldn't have got there sooner. And that's for you as well. So wherever you are right now, whether it's to do with channeling or nothing to do with channeling, you can't get to where you are any sooner than you can get there, right? Oh, hello, Wisteria. I just saw your comment there. I didn't realize you were here. Hello, beautiful lady. So you understand exactly what I'm saying. So I couldn't get there any sooner. You couldn't get there any sooner, right? And we're on this journey, and sometimes we've got to just trust that one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another, and all of that good stuff. So it was like this whole thing. And what it ended up doing then, when I opened up as a channel, I started to, the guidance was really funny, because I had this private group where, some of you might have been in it, right? My original free group that I had. And I would do sort of cards and messages and things, and I started to do channelings in there, and I started to just get my confidence with it. I wanted to see how people were responding. It's a scary thing. It was to come out as a channel in that way. And then, of course, my team was saying, okay, now you've got to go out and do it on your public Facebook page. And I was like, my public one, the one where all my family are, and my friends that have grown up with me and now think I'm absolutely nuts, and my old legal colleagues and people that knew me as a lawyer. You mean that page? And there was no doubt. It was like, yep, guidance is, you've got to come out now as a channel. And this is part of your mission, right? This is your mission to come out and channel directly and to be the channel and to share information and energy. So I had to kind of get over my own fears, doubts, hang-ups, all of that, to step forwards and do it, which I did. And it was, again, it was one thing after another after another. So I wanted to share that with you as well, because another thing I wanted to share around the channeling is that some of you are very much here to bring through information, wisdom, guidance for people, whether it's in your communities, your own life, your family, or in a wider sense like I do. But I want you to know that it doesn't mean that you have to be being a channel, doesn't mean you have to be kind of visible like I am, and you have to do live streams, because some of you are here for that, but not all of you are here for that. So just follow any nudges, follow any stirrings that you might have inside of you when you hear messages like this, because there might be something here for you. And that's the whole purpose of shining a light on all of this. So I wanted to share that with you. And the other thing I wanted to share just quickly is what channeling is and what it isn't, and how it works, because a lot of people feel, and maybe they look at channeling and they think, oh, it's all right for you. You're a channel, so you just get given everything. You just get to, because I really can pull down information like very, very directly. But some people might think, oh, you just get to get all the answers and all the shortcuts. But actually, what channeling isn't, it's not a shortcut. Although I will say there are parts that you do get to just channel through and cut through the bullshit and just know when it's important. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't bypass your spiritual growth. It helps it. It doesn't steal you from your free will or your lessons that you're here for. Because when you have your guides that are assisting you, whether you do it directly like me, or whether it's more indirectly where you receive in a different way, there's lots of different ways. What it does is it guides you. And my guides are so great at saying direct things when I need to hear them. And other times they guide me into my own higher self. They guide me into reflecting on something. It's a bit like, as a parent or a carer to a child, you wouldn't just do their homework for them. You wouldn't just give them all the answers all the time, because you have to let them experience, right? You have to let them grow. Think about yourself as a child, and a teenager and a young person. People can tell you all day long, don't do this, don't do this, but you have to experience it. So that's what channeling is. It isn't just being told what to do, and it's nothing about taking you out of your free will, because my life hasn't suddenly become absence of problems since I've become a channel. Absolutely not. There's been so many things I've negotiated in the last 2 years, and I'm sure there'll be many others. But what it does do is it connects you into something bigger. It connects you into your soul. And for those of you who do feel the resonance with it, it allows you to really walk your mission. So I just wanted to share that with you, because there's a lot of myths around what it is. And you know I see a lot of things around people saying their guides have woken them up in the night with things. It's like, I've never experienced that. I've always had very much like high level respect from my beautiful team. And there's also an issue around making sure you're channeling the highest level guides, not just guides just because you can. So this is another part of why I like to help and guide people with this, because it's like people in real life. You can connect with anybody in real life, right? But you have a certain level of, you don't want to have certain people in your circle, right? And they don't have your intentions at heart, and you want to align with people who really do love you and they're the highest level for you. So with our guides and any energies that we channel, we want to make sure as well that we're channeling the highest level. So I want to just quickly share 2 things for those of you who are interested. So if you're not really interested in knowing more about your mission or looking at some stuff around channeling, you can leave the live stream, absolutely fine, or you can just switch off from the replay. Thank you for tuning in and for receiving it. But for those of you that just want to hang around just quickly, a couple of minutes, I just want to touch on, because I have 3 offers, celebratory offers right now, going on until Sunday the 9th of July. And 2 of them I want to touch on now because they're so relevant to this conversation. So the first thing I've got is, and both these services I offer all the time, but there just happens to be a really great offer on right now, so if you're interested. So the first one is the Starseed / Soul activation session. And this is one of the few single sessions I do, which is really, if you want to dive into your mission, like I talked about yesterday, if you want to really go into your soul blueprint, like what is here for you, what is your mission, what are some of the things you've come in to bring into the world or step into. Some of you will have businesses, creations, some of you it's more maybe your personal lives, but typically a lot of people that come to me are people who are here to impact the world in some way. Maybe they haven't figured it out yet. So this is a deep dive session. Yeah, similar to the one I had with Melissa, although it's different. Of course, it's different energies, but it's that kind of nature, because I know how powerful that is and how much it changed my whole trajectory. So I love to offer that service. So it's Starseed/Soul activation session. So what we do in that session is we deep dive into the information. This could be just more information that you're looking for, a deepening of that, or also includes any activations that you might need. Again, terminology that I talked about yesterday. If you're not sure what any of that stuff means, you can watch yesterday's live stream where I talk about those words. But that session is really, really powerful. It's 60 minutes. And so there is a 33% discount on that until the 9th of July. So there's a link wherever you're watching this, just check out the link in the description and it will take you to the office. And then the second one is for you. It's called High Level Channel. And this is for those of you who are feeling like, well, two types of people. Either when you hear me talk about channeling, you feel the pull, you feel the call. There's something, even if it doesn't make sense, there's something in it that you recognize you are wanting, you think that it is for you. And if you're not sure, you can message me, no problem. So it's to do with, this high level channel package is a package of sessions, and we're going to activate your channel, and we're going to sort of show you. It's not so much teaching you, although we will cover the process, but it's more about activating what was already there. And it's like turning your light on so that you can start to receive the channelings, and you'll know who you're connecting with. So we'll connect you in consciously to your teams, team or teams, and how you can do that. So that's really activating. And it's also, that package is also for you if you're already doing some level of channeling in some way. We can go more conscious, we can go deeper into it, and it's also a great service to strengthen and protect, to make sure you're channeling at the highest level. Because a lot of people, star seeds, people who are here to make an impact, can be inadvertently channeling energies that are not for their highest divine soul blueprint, let's be honest. So there can be some distortions in channels. Sometimes people have difficulty, or they just experience some kind of clogging up or interference in their channel. So you can use this service for any of those things, including if you're wanting to step into this role of being a high level channel. So again, for that one, there is 30% off that service. So I'll put the link, again, the link is in the description, and you can access those two offers. And I have another offer I'll talk about tomorrow, but that's to do with my membership as well, that you can join. So yeah, I've definitely got things here to assist you in this area, because it's not going to be for everyone, of course, but for those of you, it's more if you feel the stir, you're going to know. If you just need a little nudge and you're not sure, feel free to message me. I'm not going to pressure you into anything, but if you just want to double check, like, this feels okay, and you just want to connect with me before you step into any of that, just send me a message. It's not a problem. But obviously, ultimately, it's your decision as well. But yeah, that's a little bit about my journey, about how I came into channeling. But I guess the thing I want to end with today is to say that channeling is actually not magical and mystical. It isn't some weird thing, like I said yesterday, that only certain special people have. It is really available to any of us, to any of you, if you want to open up into higher energies, if you want to know yourself as a multidimensional being that you are, you always have been, you always will be. But it's about coming out of this. For many of us, it's about coming out of the linear, logical, ABC way of doing things and stepping up into a more powerful way of being. And so there are going to be things that I'm going to bring out later in the year, like I said yesterday, on this, to assist in a bigger scale way. So stay tuned for that. But right now, if you feel the call to either go deeper into a mission, you want some clarity around that, Starseed Soul activation sessions, the thing. If you definitely know you want to get into the channeling aspect, have a look at the high level channel, and message me with any questions. So I'm happy to share all this. There would have been a time when I wouldn't have dared to come on and talk about these things. Like I said yesterday, I'm so over that fear now. I'm over worrying about what people think, worrying about any of the judgments, because it's time that many of us now step up into our mission. We had previous lives where we were persecuted. We had previous lifetimes where it cost us to speak out. But I want to encourage you and assure you now, for those of you tuning in now or on the replay, that we're in different eras and we have all come in to share this mission of helping humanity shift, helping the collective consciousness rise in whichever way you came here to do it. And there are so many different ways. And just to add, it doesn't mean that you have to be like openly a channel. Some of you will be channeling in ways that majority wouldn't even realize you're doing it. But there are so many different ways that you get to tap into this, and that's what I've discovered from the packages I've done so far with a beautiful lot of magical souls, that it's also unique. That's what I love doing it, because every time I'm with someone, it's like, oh, you do it this way. Okay, you channel these beings and you do it this way, and this is how your body receives it, and this is how you get the information. It's so unique and it serves our mission. So there are many, many ways. I want to bring it up more into the mainstream. So by the time I end my lifetime, this is really common, right? It would almost be boring for me to do a live stream like this about channeling, because everybody understands it. That's my intention, so that we really shift. We really shift how we're living. It's time now to stop this nonsense that we're just humans having this human experience and we are not multi-dimensional or multifaceted. So if you're still here, you are definitely here for the same. So thank you for being here. Thank you, Wisteria. Love listening to you and receiving the information you deliver. Thank you for continuing to be here helping. Thank you. And right back at you. Thank you for being here. So I send you so much love. And just to remind you, tomorrow, part 3, I'm going to talk about the who. Who am I channeling? Getting more into my divine team. I want to share some stuff with you about the Arcturians and the angelic realm, and why. Why channeling, and why are we bringing this information through into the earth now? What is happening? Why are we doing that? I want to share that. And then on Friday, we're going to end the celebrations with a live channeling session. So if you'd like to hop on, I can channel messages and guidance for you. I love to do that. So that's 6 p.m. both days, 6 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to join me for that, and I will be giving, like I said, free prize giveaways. But if I'm here chatting to myself, then obviously not. But if I have people joining me, yeah, we can get into some free giveaways. All right, so I send you lots of love. Thank you for joining me live. Thank you for watching the replay, and I'll see you here tomorrow, same time, here on this page. Okay, until then.